Hi everybody and welcome back. My name's Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on Canon rock. So this was originally written by or arranged by Jerry C, the famous guitarist. And it's just basically a remodel or a modern remix, if you like, on Pachelbel's Canon. What I was going to do today was do a quick performance for you. I might actually end up just showing you clips, or I might do the whole thing all the way through, whatever. So I'm going to play it for you now, and I've slightly tweaked this myself as well. So all the sheet music that I've got, it'll probably be written out by hand, I'm afraid, but it'll be a free link underneath the sheet music. The backing track that I'm using, because I know there are a couple of backing tracks available and everything, but I've got a completely different backing track that I've done myself with Simon. The backing track is available as well, but I'm sorry, there's a little teeny weeny tiny charge for the backing track, because this is kind of unique to me and Simon, if you like, as part of our electric violin show. So this isn't just a backing track that we've kind of spent 10 minutes knocking up on our computer with a few bits and bobs and things. This backing track has had a lot of work put into it. It's completely unique. You will not find this backing track anywhere else apart from being available from Simon and I. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to get on with the performance so you can hear it played all the way through, and then I'm going to take you through as well the I don't know, any little bits and bobs and things, and so hopefully you guys can hopefully play Canon rock as well. I'm not going to lie, it is quite difficult. I did find it quite a challenge when I first started playing this about a year or so ago, and there are some particularly nasty little tricky parts in there, so I'll take you through some of those bits now. So click the link underneath to get the sheet music, print it out, follow along with me, and then we can go through the tutorial together. grab your music and let's start going with it. So it first starts off really slow. So it basically just starts off like it would do with a normal Pachelbel's Canon. So just your... So really I think the first part actually isn't too bad. It's just when the rhythm actually kicks in. And then it slows down, and then in the backing track you've got like a 1, 2, 3, 4, where you've got where just the drumstick kind of taps 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's when you come in with your next part. So this is the really horrible bit. It's not difficult in terms of notes and things. It's just really tricky because there are lots and lots of string crossings. You're almost crossing from the E string over to the G string. So technically you don't even, I'd tell you to stop the bow, stop, move the bow, and then kind of carry on again, but you really don't even get time to do that. So it's all about just moving this arm just quickly enough. So just move it, folks, that's all it is. So I'll play from the... Then you've got your 4 drum beat, tick, 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 tick. I'll do this bit slow for you. So that's basically it with that. When you get that going faster, you do hear a lot of string crossings going in between here, which you're just not going to be able to get out of. I think this was, because this was actually written for or arranged for guitar, it does sound really cool to play on the violin as well, and it does go, because obviously it was written for a string quartet, but I think the way this part has written in the guitar, I'm not a guitar player, guys, so I apologise if I'm completely wrong here, but on the violin that means you're doing a lot of jumping, and that's not so bad if it's just the fingers that are jumping, but you've actually got a bow operating in between, and it's really hard to lift the bow off and move it. So if you were just plucking that with your fingers, imagining if this was guitar, I think it would be a lot easier to do that, because you could just lift your thumb or your plucking hand off, the right hand that does that. You can sort of lift it off and just move it, so you don't have a bow, kind of a big long kind of 3-foot bow in kind of obstructing the notes there. So if this was guitar, it would probably be a lot easier, but it's still okay. I think it suits, it would be really nice on electric violin as well. Electric violin can be a little bit more forgiving with this sort of thing, especially if you had distortion, which, things like that I normally do. So the next bit then, we're quite high. Sorry, trying to do that really slow in isolation is quite difficult. So just go with the fingerings that I've got there. So I start with my 3rd finger, go down to the 2nd finger, and then, so what I do there is, so my next one is going to be an open E. So what I'm going to do is just slide and sort of let go. I'm kind of letting go around here, but it really doesn't matter. And then I'm coming back up again with the 3rd finger. So when you're doing when you've got the D, D, E, D, C, I'm doing that with a 3, 3, 4, 3, 2. Because the 1A, it's a little bit further back than the position that we're in at the moment, so you have to bring your hand a little bit further back. So just feel the... So there's the C before it, and then there's the A that you have to get to, the A that you would normally play quite happily in 3rd position there. The D is quite nicely the 1st finger just rolled over. Then you're in 3rd position for this next part. And do the C with a second finger. So I'm just following I'm following the fingers that are there. So I've got a fourth finger now. So I do use the 4 a couple of times in the row there, but it was just a lot easier to do that because, trust me, it's going really fast. So the higher up you go, it's really hard to get... Your fingers kind of get in a bunch, which is why I just did it. I did 4, 4, 4, 3, because the higher up you go here, almost like the fatter your fingers are, the worse it is, and unfortunately my fingers are, you know, they're having to kind of wedge in. You can't help that your fingers are, you know, your fingers are the size that your fingers are, but they could all do with being the size of your little finger, which is why I use the little finger. So yes, it's not great violin technique, guys, so you know, if you're saying that there's some better fingering out there, I'm sure there is, but the reason for me doing that was because it was going pretty darn fast. Added with the fact that, you know, it just gets really bunchy with the fingers, and I wanted to make sure that my notes were in tune there. So that's the reason why I did loads of fourth fingers in a row. So then you've got another slide down to the E string. So then I do the next note, D, with a D with a third finger, as it's written. And then I go down an octave lower here. I slide up to the next note with the fourth finger instead of just going. Because it's a nice little slide, especially if you're playing with the electric violin. The next sort of bit is kind of self-explanatory, all in first position pretty much. Just a little kind of A, B, A. Now I've kind of forced in a little scale run. So starting with the D. So I end on an A on the E string. So it doesn't technically fit in terms of like semiquavers and things, but it's just one of those ones where you're kind of adding in a few extra notes, and it's fine to do that as long as you group them appropriately. So carrying on. So again, I use 2 fourth fingers in a row for that bar. So 1, 1, 4, 4. Then I'm down. And then this bit's quite tricky. This just deserves a lot of practice. This took, I admit, hands up, this was quite tricky for me to do, just because the speed is so fast and it needs to be very clear. But you guys just practice it, you know, you'll have it no problem. It's an A major arpeggio, so it's nice. Sorry, I read that wrong there. So it's up to you how you want to do the bowing. I tend to do that in 3s. So that's just a case of practicing that up and down until you can get it at that speed. If you didn't want to do that, you could just go, perhaps you could change it a little bit to, or something like that, kind of miss every other one out, or miss a few out or something, just so that you did a little something there instead of doing the whole thing if you can't quite manage that. But you know, it's just one bar, just think of it as like a little challenge or something, and you know, if you don't know your A major arpeggio after that, you certainly will. So carrying on. Pretty self-explanatory there. That's all in first position, so that's fine. I've put the occasional fourth finger in there as well for like the E string. It really helps if you do that, especially this at bar 46. Sorry. So it gets a bit kind of, if you put a fourth in it, 4 now. And then this next bit is exactly the same as the start. And now this bit is just isn't anything really. It's just a kind of we're doing it in threes, and we just want to get all the way up to the top so we get our top note. So just go for it. So really it's just, so I'm putting down the 3. So I'm starting with a 1, adding 2, 3, then I move up, keeping the 1 on, move up, keeping the 1 on. So it sounds really awful doing it on acoustic violin, but I'm almost quite pleased that I am doing it on the acoustic violin, so you really can hear the bare sound. You know that if you go back and listen to that in the performance, if I can put an annotation on that so you can go back and listen to it again, it sounds okay because I've got a distortion pedal on it and everything, so I can get away with it. But on the acoustic violin, not so much. But until you get up to the note you need to get to anyway. And then, so you're doing that slide. You're doing that slide again, like we said before, and then so that's pretty self-explanatory. And then we've just got another scale from open A to the B on the fourth finger on the E string, and then back down to the A again. Doing an open E. So it's got to be quite fast, as long as you just kind of, it's another one of those things that you need to jam in. So you end on the open A, then you're carrying on. So again, I use another 2 fourth fingers. Some of you out there might think that's really naughty, but again, it's going really, really fast. There really isn't time always to think about those sorts of things. You're just thinking of ease and you're thinking of accuracy, and you know, it doesn't actually hurt to do that. You know, if anybody out there is watching and they're kind of a professional violinist as well, and they're thinking, oh no, you shouldn't be using a fourth finger. Well, you know, you almost need to know the rules, all the rules, to be able to break them, and I like that fingering. It works every single time, so it's much easier to use a 4, to stretch the 4 and then use another 4 going up, than it is to kind of use another finger. You just don't have time to get the whole entire hand up there, so then you are actually compromising the music, especially an arrangement like this, just to be strictly classical, if you like, and not kind of do 2 4s in a row, which you wouldn't normally do. But in this case, you know, for Canon Rock to make it work, that's what I've chosen to do anyway. So use the fingering there, and then we've got a group of arpeggios here. So a tip here, if you keep your second finger on the G on the E string, and you keep your first finger on the B, and then you can just take the 4 and the 3 off. You don't want to keep going. You don't really want to keep doing that. You can almost double stop the 2 first fingers. And then you literally shift the 2 fingers up. So you can practice doing, so when you've done the, sorry, I'm just trying to pick it up. When you get to that bit, double stop those 2 fingers on here immediately. And then you can do the arpeggio, and then you can move up as one there. Then you're carrying on. You're sliding up into 3rd position and just doing an arpeggio. And then for the next bit, you're exactly the same as what we've just done. So double stop the B and the G. And then you're carrying on. So it's almost basically, you're just repeating those kind of 4 or 5 bars or so. So I just do a little kind of A, B, A, B, A, just like a little embellishment. You don't have to. But, you know, I like it. Up into 3rd position for the same arpeggio. So, and then you're down again doing that same group of 3. And then that's it, you're pretty much home dry when you're back to the main kind of. So there isn't really anything interesting to say on those parts except for just, it's all in 1st position, sorry, it's not in 3rd position, and you just need to use the 4th finger, so that's going to save you some string crossing. Then when you get to the end can be a little bit annoying, but that's just a case of practice, so. Sorry, my mistake. So you're going, you're up to the A as normal, and then you'll slide, then you slide back until you hit a D on the A string there. So if you slide, 1, it creates a really nice effect, and 2, it helps you know when to stop to get up to that note. I decided to put the slide in there because I didn't think, it's not quite as nice sliding up, or it's not quite as nice not sliding up, so it was a bit sort of plain, so I liked the. So when you do the slide down, you slide down as far as you can go, and then you're going to have to lift your finger off and hit the D on the A string. So if there's a little bit of a gap there where you've got an open E, that really doesn't matter. It's all part of the effect, and that was just part of the arrangement that Simon and I decided to do at the end, just to give it a bit more of a punchier and clearer end to this as well. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to mention. I'm not sure that there is. It's really just a case of practice. I'm sure there are a few things that you can do to simplify this version as well. You know, perhaps you can take out some of the notes, or like some of the arpeggio notes, maybe you can just do one of them, or maybe you can lengthen it out or something like that. Or just practice that bar. This is a really good exercise in arpeggios anyway. And if you want to play something really fast and flashy, this is definitely one of those pieces that do that without actually being too tricky. Everybody knows it as well, and it really is just a good old favourite. So feel free to ask questions and things. Sheet music underneath, the backing track link will be underneath. There is, like I said, there is a little fee for the backing track, but it's only very small. Simon and I have worked really hard on the backing track as well, and you won't find it anywhere else. It'll only be available from us, as it's our own arrangement of the backing track. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the performance and the tutorial, and I shall see you on the next video.